What's up, guys? Blade Master here, back with some more Total War Rome 2 online action. I am going to be facing yet another heavyweight in the Rome 2 multiplayer scene. This is going to be me fighting up against Iraklis. This is my first match against him, and I was I was both excited and anxious because I was just hoping I don't do one of the really stupid moves that I am known to do at times when playing against really good players as well. And I just hope that my game was on par with what I'm usually capable of, I would say. So in this matchup, I've taken Parthia and he has taken Rome as a counter pick. Very interesting counter pick. Not usually the most effective, but can be pretty strong in its own right. And with Parthia, let's take a look at what I've brought. We are fighting in Nemrusena. I've taken 2 horse skirmishers, a total of 4 Eastern Cataphracts and 1 Royal Cataphract General, and 2 Eastern Spearmen, 2 Median Cav, and a total of 3 Eastern Slingers, and 4 Parthian Foot Archers, and finally 2 Persian Hoplites. Now, Iraklis, on the other hand, has brought 2 Avocadi cohort up in the center and 2 veteran legionaries, and that's going to be it for his Spear Corps. He's also brought a total of 6 auxiliary infantry, which is pretty strange to say the least. And he's also brought, I believe, a couple of Vigiles as well. Yeah, these are 2 Vigiles up in the center and a total of 6 auxiliary infantry. He's also brought 3 Balearic Slingers, 2 Equites Extraordinari, and 2 auxiliary cav, 1 legatus or 1 general and bodyguard unit. So going over my build in a little bit more detail, the reason why I brought 2 Median cav is actually because I actually really think this is a good idea to bring, because these units, one, can be used to charge head on, and in that kind of suicidal charge. Sure, cataphracts themselves are very effective, but they also take a ton of casualties because of javelins. So these are a more inexpensive option to knock down the units before you can shower them with slinger fire or Parthian foot fire. Works against Armenia and any other like cavalry heavy faction that you may encounter. Using these units for just charging head on, that YOLO charge, I think these units would do better. The second reason is, while your cataphracts are pulling out from their engagement once they charge in, using these units to come in after that and to either attack or engage the enemy cavalry, that enemy melee cavalry that's chasing after your fleeing cataphracts. These units would do really well because they have that 15 bonus versus large, and even though they are, I believe, medium cavalry, that mass is not, their lack of mass actually is not going to play a part, because they are not going to get charged at. They will actually be charging into cavalry that's chasing after your fleeing cataphracts. So in that sense, I think these Median cav are very good. Besides that, it's a pretty standard build. I brought 3 slingers just because I thought he might bring archers. I brought a lot of Parthian foot archers because no Parthian build is complete without them. And in terms of Iraklis' build, it's kind of strange bringing so many auxiliary infantry. On the one hand, on paper, it sounds like a good plan, but they are they medium or are they, oh, they're heavy. Okay, they're heavy spear infantry for a very cheap price, so in that sense they're pretty good. And they're also formation attack, which probably helps them against a charge. But at the end of the day, they're very, base morale at 45 is not great, 50 health, not great again. Armor at 75 is actually pretty decent, but against a cataphract charge, they actually wouldn't do too well, I would say. Maybe bringing some gladiator spearmen would be a more interesting choice, but not something that would be very safe. The Balearic Slingers, again, strange, because if I had brought elephants, these units wouldn't be able to do much. The Saki Equites Extraordinary, again, a very strange option. But if I had brought Parthian Swordsmen, these units would do very well. But again, who would bring a Parthian Swordsman unit against Rome? Auxiliary infantry, bit kind of like overkill. These are heavy melee cavalry, which helps them a lot. Maybe bringing Saki Equites Extraordinary, the Saki Equites would have been a better idea, because those are also heavy cavalry, so they won't be too susceptible to the charge. These units are very, very good. The 40 melee attack, very aggressive with that 15 bonus versus large. They're quite nice. So for now, what I'm going to do is just harass him with my horse skirmishers, and I can see he's a bit slow with moving up with his his general. I got a pretty decent volley on them, but they moved just in time to prevent my horse skirmishers from firing. And I've also managed to lure him into attacking my horse skirmishers, and they haven't really lost any units. Meanwhile, the Balearic Slingers have lost quite a bit of their ammo. Not going to matter much though. I'm forced to pull back with my cataphracts. The deployment of my army was also kind of weird. I'm going to leave my Median cav next to my Eastern Spearman, because if he decides to front charge with his Saki Equites Extraordinary, my Eastern Spearman would get destroyed. They'd be able to pull through and get to my Eastern Slingers. So to counter that, I've kept 2 Median cav who would be able to catch them and catch them on the charge. So they are kind of in a quasi infantry role, kept in this kept in this space. My cataphracts are going to be my main line, and that's why I've kept them up in front. If he decides to shoot, I'll just move around. I have the maneuverability to just turn around and move around with them. But even the small like variations in the way you bring your army and the way you deploy your army, it definitely plays like sort of mind games with your opponent, which is probably pretty important in high level play. So I'm moving to the sides here, starting to attack with my horse skirmishers. They're only winded at this point, and they're starting to get some great shots on his auxiliary cavalry. They're already down by 1 unit. My game plan into this game is very, very straightforward. Kill his cavalry and then kill his skirmishers, and the rest will just sort itself out, especially when he's brought 6 auxiliary infantry. They're not going to do much, and the fact that these auxiliary infantry don't have any javelins is actually very, very useful for me, because I'm able to move right up close to his line, not be afraid of javelins, and start to get some shots on his general and bodyguard unit. But of course I'm going to have to be pretty careful with my units. I've turned off fire at will with one of my horse skirmishers at this point. He's moving up with his sword line very far in front. Could have maybe actually charged into his line, but I was really afraid of his double lines over here, which is smart from him, because while one veteran legionaries gets charged, the avocadis will throw their javelins, which would be pretty deadly to my cataphracts. And anyways, I've got so many slingers that I'm going to have to utilize them effectively if I want to win this game. Definitely not a very easy game for me to win, apart just not even counting the player skill. Just in terms of builds, these veteran legionaries and avocadis with their very heavy mass and their extreme amounts of armor and the excellent stats overall are going to be a tough nut to crack. The Belarus slingers are actually a smart choice compared to when considering the army that I've brought, because they'll defeat my my Eastern slingers, and they can actually destroy my Parthian foot archers as well. So it was a risk. I think he predicted that I would go very skirmisher heavy, so he decided to not take any Syrian archers at all and decided to win the skirmish battle with his 3 Belarus slingers, which they can very easily do. So I've got these horse skirmishers here. They are tired. They've only gotten 1 kill so far. The other one's got 13 kills though, because it's been whittling down his veteran legionaries. Maybe he suspected that I wouldn't go for his veteran legionaries, but I'm more than content in whittling them down. Here his auxiliary cavalry are starting to take a lot of casualties from my horse skirmishers, just again proving their worth. Really good units, really cool units to bring. Even against Rome, they're a fun unit to bring because they can easily gen snipe. Here I'm pulling out with my Eastern slingers just in time. His Belarus slinger lost another volley for no reason. Here his auxiliary cavalry are all the way down to 30 units from horse skirmishers, a unit that costs only 390 talents. He's turned off fire at will with some of his Belarus slingers because he knew that I was going to keep skirmishing, but here him not microing with his Belarus slingers means that I'm able to get in close and maybe even get a shot on his general and bodyguard while he's focusing on this combat here. Starting to whittle down some of his avocadis over here, but meanwhile my Eastern slingers are taking fire from his Belerics. I'm focusing fire on one of his Belarus slingers at this point, and I'm forced to pull back with one of my horse skirmishers because he's turned around with his Belarus slinger here. But his general and bodyguard down to 26 men at this point, and I've not lost a single horse skirmisher at this point. That's crazy. And 5 kills, 2 kills. Obviously my Eastern slingers are going to get destroyed by his Belerics. I've kind of bunched up my units here more than they could have been spread out a bit thinner, and honestly they should have won this, or they should be winning this battle, because it's 3 against 2, but he's got quick reload here, which is going to play a pretty decisive role in killing off my Eastern slingers. But at the end of the day, it is kind of ammo wasted, because these are armor penetrating slingshots that could very easily destroy cataphracts. So in that sense, I was perfectly happy at letting the skirmish battle go on. Now I've seen that he's got all 3 of his skirmishers too close by, or sorry, all 3 of his Belarus slingers really close by, so I can again get back in with my horse skirmishers and start to harass his general and his cavalry. You can see I am in closing distance with my horse skirmisher, and I'm starting to get some shots onto the rear of his cavalry units, which is perfect for me. So I don't mind losing the skirmish battle in this sense, because it is only 3 units that will eventually get destroyed. I still have 4 more Parthian foot archers that can devastate his infantry. So his auxiliary cavalry is starting to drop even more now. His general and bodyguard unit is still at 26 men. Has he turned around his auxiliary cavalry? Yep, he's turned around his auxiliary cavalry. They do not have access to cavalry testudo, which is, if he had legionary cavalry, this could have been pretty useful. Considering the general playstyle that he's trying, he's going with a very defensive playstyle with Rome. I'm starting to shoot at his general and bodyguard though. The Saki Equity is extraordinary. All of these units are very juicy targets for my horse skirmishers, even if they raise their shields against 41 missile damage javelins. There's only so much they can do. I'm sure that shields don't have a great missile block chance in any case. Here, 35 kills with my horse skirmishers, 28 with the other. I'm focusing on his general and bodyguard. They're starting to get whittled down to 25 units. My eastern slingers, meanwhile, have gotten destroyed. Only 26 kills with one of them, 31 with the other, and 14 with the last. His Belarus slinger have dropped down to 40 units here, 85 on the other, and I think one is at full strength. So skirmish on skirmish engagement, they're obviously going to outclass my eastern slingers, even though they are very nice units. The eastern slingers, I mean, they just won't be able to match the auxiliary Balearics. I could see that he had an attack order, so I was trying to advance with my Median Cav, but he obviously pulled back with them. Meanwhile, his general and bodyguard down to 20 units. So all in all, it's definitely while he is got the upper hand in terms of the general army composition, I am getting some great shots onto his general bodyguard, but not there. I got a volley, just wasted a volley on his auxiliary infantry. Cannot afford to waste volleys with these units. They can be so useful, but they have very limited ammunition. Again, getting close by, turned off fire at will, because at this point I knew that I can get close enough. I don't have any slingers or javelins to worry about, so I can get close enough, turn off fire at will, and set an attack order on his general bodyguard. So you can see they're just firing over all the rest of the units, and they're just getting some great shots on the general bodyguard there. They're out of ammo at this point. The general bodyguard is down to half strength. I've brought back my previously routing eastern slingers just to inflict some more couple of casualties on his units, and it's not really doing too much. Now this is a mistake that I've made over here. I'm moving up with my 4 Parthian foot archers. I'm also moving up with my eastern spearmen. What I should have done at this point is just advance with my eastern spearmen, at the very least absorb javelins, but I'm moving up concurrently with my Parthian foot archers, and take a look at what I'm going to do. I've set an attack order on his general and bodyguard just to completely destroy them with focus fire, 1 volley from my Parthian foot archers. And these units obviously have zero, that 10 armor doesn't really make much of a difference. They're going to get slaughtered. His general bodyguard basically done. Yeah, they're trying to rout now. But you can see the Parthian foot archers taking a ton of casualties here. His avocadis are trying to fire their javelins on my eastern spearmen. Perfect for me. But my Parthian foot archers are starting to die very, very quickly. 64 units left. These are units that can easily devastate, avocadis and veteran legionaries, and I need to keep them alive in order for me to win this game. One of them is already starting to waver. They've taken a ton of casualties. Very, very bad for me there. Not a good trade-off, I would say. But here, my Royal Cataphract General going to charge into his avocadis. They got a great javelin volley. So did the other one, the other veteran legionary. It's something that I have had to do. I should have charged in with my melee, my Median Cav here, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge into his auxiliary infantry, with my Median Cav. Still, it would be a pretty decent charge for me. Going to charge in with those guys, and then I'm going to follow it up over here with some more Eastern Cataphracts, kind of bunching them up, which is a critical mistake. Here, charging at the same time with my Eastern Cataphracts onto the sides of his veteran legionaries. Here, my Eastern Spearmen obviously going to die out. I'm focus firing with my Parthian foot archers on one of his Avocadi cohort. I've also pulled back pretty effectively with my general, pulling back with my Eastern Cataphracts as well. They haven't taken many casualties here. My Median Cav are starting to drop because his Equites Extraordinary are going to chase up after them. Here, Eastern Cataphracts with 1 casualty. Here, Eastern Cataphracts with a lot of casualties actually. Going to get a follow-up charge on some unbraced auxiliary auxiliary infantry. And I'm also going to pull up in front with my Persian Hoplites. They'll obviously die, but they're just going to be there to stop his avocadis and present a target for my my Cataphracts to anvil or to hammer. Yeah, to hammer, not to anvil. Pulling back with the Eastern Cataphracts over here. My horse skirmishers are basically useless at this point. They can't really do anything. His Belarus slingers also, they still have a lot of ammo. They're firing into one of my Parthian foot archers. Now, my Parthian foot really haven't done too much. They're starting to kill some of his avocadis, but my veteran legionaries are doing much better. Eastern Cataphracts about to charge into Saki Equites Extraordinary. I'm also going to charge in with my Royal Cataphract General onto the same Equites Extraordinary. Poor mistake here. But he's going to come in with auxiliary infantry and inflict some casualties there. Eastern Cataphracts here with 40 kills. My other Eastern Cataphract, though, already at half strength with only 59 kills. He is going to charge into this gap here with his auxiliary cavalry, which is terrible for me. And he's going to charge into some full strength Parthian foot archers. This is what I should absolutely never allow. He's going to charge into a completely full strength Parthian foot archer and destroy them. I'm going to have to use my Eastern Cataphract to charge in over here as soon as possible. But that's usually what you see happen with Parthian skirmish builds. You just have too much going on at once for most players to really understand what's going on. I should have kept one or two Median Cav here. Them charging into this is a good engagement. While the Saki Equites were chasing after my Eastern Cataphracts, I pulled in with my Median Cav and basically caught some of his auxiliary infantry and Saki Equites Extraordinary. That's a good move. But charging in with Median Cav here, even though they've done a lot of damage, I should have kept one of them here to protect against my Parthian, against his cavalry charging into my Parthian foot. You can see 138 kills with auxiliary cavalry onto units that are so much more important for me. So that is one thing even though I brought them for a reason, I just didn't use them for that reason, which is really infuriating to see in hindsight. Here, 40 kills only with my general with 10 casualties. My Persian hoplites are starting to die very quickly to obviously his incredibly strong Avocadi cohort, and they are also attacked in the rear. So I'm pulling back with the other Eastern Cataphract here, getting some coordinated charges, charging into his Balearic Slingers, who've already done the damage though. His auxiliary infantry are going to come in here. I'm going to charge with my Median Cav here, just hold down some of his units, so that I can kill off his pesky auxiliary infantry here with my Cataphracts, because they're basically the main threat. Besides that, yeah, it's not looking in his favor, I would say, because although he's got a lot of auxiliary infantry at this point, wow, why is it, I don't really know why it's lagging here. This is crazy. Even though he's got a lot of auxiliary infantry at this point, I do have cataphracts, and auxiliary infantry will never withstand a cataphract charge, especially multiple cataphract charges. So you can see, let's see, 135 kills. Obviously going to start racking up a lot of kills. Yeah, double experience chevron. When they pull back though, they are going to take a lot of damage. Again, another cataphract charging into auxiliary infantry. That's my Royal Cataphract General. I'm going to pull through with them. Here, his auxiliary cavalry really going to show up with their really good melee stats here, killing off a lot of my Eastern Cataphracts. Once they're done with their charge, they basically are going to be useless against these units. Look at how well they're doing. Double experience chevron on Eastern Cataphracts. I'm forced to pull out with them, and they've taken a ton of casualties while doing so. Actually, kind of shifting in Iraklis' favor now, even though his general is dead and everything. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge in with my horse skirmishers here, just in a desperate bid to hold down his cavalry from chasing after my Eastern Cataphracts, who are exhausted at this point. Again, charged in with horse skirmishers here, hold down some of his cavalry so that my Eastern Cataphracts can pull out. I'm going to charge into this huge blob here, with rear charge with my general, my Royal Cataphract General. Already they've got a single experience chevron. My Eastern Cataphracts just killing off a lot of his auxiliary infantry. A lot of them are shaken here. Their general is dead, which is obviously causing a morale penalty, because, and couple that with their only 45 base morale, they are very prone to shattering immediately. Here, Equites Extraordinary doing very well, 72 kills, double experience chevron. So wow, it's a risk that really paid off for Iraklis. My Eastern Cataphracts over here basically done. I still have one with 49 units left, and that's at a pretty decent fatigue level. Oh no, they're tired at this point. General though, I think he's exhausted. My other Cataphract is going to get ganged up on, which is terrible for me. But I'm going to get a rear charge here. I've already used second wind with my general, but they're still exhausted. Going to charge in. It's not very effective, but against such a huge blob, it'll obviously be, they will get a lot of kills. 160s, 175, wow, even though it's an exhausted charge. And it's going to give enough time for my Cataphracts to come in and cycle charge these units and destroy them. But kind of says a lot about the game that, you need multiple charges on depleted auxiliary infantry to really, shatter them, even though the general has been dead for a long time. Here I'm going to charge in with Eastern Cataphracts onto depleted Saki Equites Extraordinary and auxiliary cavalry, pull through them, and then attack the last Avocadi cohort just to destroy it. Because they still have that trample bonus, they will have a pretty decent charge even against those, even if it's like 4 or 5 units at this point. But too many losses taken. They're starting to waver because of army losses. He just has too many units here, 82 units, 17 and 20. And my general as well starting to waver. Actually, I was pretty pissed off that Cataphract decided to waver and rout at that point, because if I killed off his cavalry, there wasn't too much that he could do, but he still had a lot of infantry at this point. So just strength in numbers working out for Iraklis there. Costly enemy victory. Let's take a look at the stats. I got a ton of kills with my Cataphracts. One of them got only 86 kills, which is a concern, but besides them, 245, 241, 292, 186. I should have brought an elephant. Thinking back on it, I should have brought an elephant. But this game I would have easily won this game if I just kept one of my Median Cav with my Parthian foot archer line. should have used them for their original purpose, like for the reason why I brought them. Should have just kept them with my archer line all the time. No point in them charging, and even though one of them got like 122 kills, just wasn't too much, or just wasn't enough. And they would have served a much better purpose if I had kept them just protecting my much more deadly skirmish line. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more. Peace.